Good evening, I'm Chris Berg. Thanks for joining us. Tonight's point of view topic, Congressman Colin Peterson announced his re-election campaign yesterday. And one thing I want to ask you tonight is the National Republican Congressional Committee already playing dirty politics. Here's what I'm referring to specifically. I want you to take a look at this website quickly. You look at this website at first glance, who do you think this website is promoting? Now let me show this to you one more time again. And I also want to let you know that the web address for this website is colinpeterson2014.com. So if you went to this website and went to click on that big donate button that you see at the bottom there, who do you think you'd be donating to at first glance? I'm going to presume that most of you would say, yeah, I'm donating to Congressman Colin Peterson for his re-election campaign. Well, the NRCC, the National Republican Congressional Committee, has purchased roughly 18 websites and domains about Democrats that are designed to appear as if they belong to Democrat House candidates like the one I just showed you. So if you were to Google Congressman Peterson's name, you could have the site I just showed you possibly show up very high in that Google search. And when you click on it, you could possibly experience this.
I Google his name and things of that nature, and I'm thinking that I'm at the right website. I see his lovely picture there, as you can see. I see his lovely picture right there.
The site, JohnBarrow2014.com, well, it sure looked like the re-election campaign site for Democrat John Barrow. At least it did to Frails, who fumbled for his credit card while answering yet another call, this one from his wife.
So all I see is the blue. John Barrow for Congress, donate.
And he did. $1,000, then the surprise.
George Bush pictures pops up and says, congratulations, something to the effect that you've donated to help defeat John Barrow. And I tell my wife, oh my God, I just donated to the wrong website.
So obviously, if you do not read the fine print, you think you're donating to your Democrat congressional candidate, when in fact, let's check out this site here behind me. If you scroll down on this site, if we can do this, please, you're going to notice, and it's barely legible here, you're going to find out that you're actually donating. This is the information here. You're actually donating to the NRCC, the National Republican Congressional Committee. Well, the gentleman I just showed you in the video, he did eventually get his $1,000 back. And I think this is the type of stuff that gives Congress such an abysmal approval rating right now. Look, I don't know if Congressman Peterson's opponent, Minnesota State Senator Tori Westrum, approves or condones of this type of political gamemanship. And my hunch is this sort of thing ain't really going to play that well in Minnesota's 7th Congressional District. Let's just say it's not Minnesota nice. Now, I did reach out to the NRCC to have them on the show and discuss the website with Congressman Peterson's name and face, as well as this article. Crew files OCE complaint against Representative Walden for supporting fraudulent campaign websites. Now, the NRCC unfortunately declined my offer to be on the show, but they did email me the following statement. This is nothing more than a publicity stunt by an extreme liberal front group for Democrats to bolster their deflated supporters after the Democrats' defeat in Tuesday's special election. Tyler Holton, the NRCC spokesman. Now, obviously, he's referring to the special congressional election that took place recently in Florida. And with us to tonight discuss if these websites are even legal or not is the former Assistant United States Attorney in the District of Columbia and the current Executive Director of Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, Melanie Sloan. Melanie, your response to the NRCC spokesman's comments.
Well, frankly, that's just ridiculous. Anybody looking at these 18 websites would know that they're intended to deliberately confuse potential supporters of these candidates. You don't have names like Alex Sink 2014 or John Lewis for Congress and not expect that you're going to find that candidate's congressional campaign website.
And to be fair to your organization, you guys also did a story a while back on Congressman Peterson. Headline was uses his position to unfairly compensate his son. His son was the treasurer in 2000, I believe, 8 and 10, made $100,000 doing that. Your organization did that story as well. Here's my question for you. You've now filed a complaint with the Office of Congressional Ethics over this against National Republican Committee Chairman Greg Walden out of Oregon. What exactly are you looking to do with that?
Well, we filed the complaint against Congressman Walden because as a member of Congress, he's responsible for holding the high ethical standards we expect of members of Congress, and he's the head of the NRCC. There are clear campaign finance rules that forbid this kind of fraudulent misrepresentation, tricking people into thinking that a candidate's saying something or that you're speaking on behalf of a candidate when you're not. And because campaign finance violations can indeed be House ethics violations, and Congressman Walden is the head of the NRCC and approved the use of these 18 websites, we want him held accountable, and we also think the site should be taken down.
So what does that mean specifically? Are you going to press charges against him, or?
Well, we filed a complaint with the Office of Congressional Ethics, which would do an investigation and hopefully find that Mr. Walden was engaged in unethical conduct, forward that complaint to the House Ethics Committee, where he would be disciplined by the full House eventually.
Now, some people might say, come on, like, you just read the fine print. These obviously aren't supporting these Democrat candidates. Any idea how much money has been raised by these pseudo sites?
Well, it's impossible to know. There are a couple of supporters who came forward and said that they were tricked by the sites and they asked for their money back, and they didn't get their money back until there were national press stories about it. But most people who make the mistake might not ever realize they've made the mistake, or if they did, they're going to be too embarrassed to make a fuss and call reporters. But it shouldn't be this tricky. People should win elections fair and square, and they should also raise campaign money fair and square. You shouldn't be trying to trick the other side's supporters into giving you money. It's just frankly wrong.
I think that's obviously why I see the abysmal ratings of Congress these days. I don't know if you spent much time here in the Midwest, but, I don't think in Minnesota Congressional District 7, these things are going to play. Here's the thing I want to get your comments on. The Federal Election Commission has been asked about this, if these sites are legal or if it's even under investigation. The Federal Election Commission, as of what I just recently heard, said no comment at this point. What do you say to that?
Well, first, the Federal Election Commission is known to be the most toothless agency in Washington. It never really will take on anything it can possibly avoid. I believe that somebody has filed a complaint with the NRCC before the FEC, however, and that would automatically require the FEC to investigate. The problem is, by the time the FEC gets its investigation underway, a couple of years may have gone by. The FEC isn't known for speed. So in the meantime, these elections will be done and gone. And the real point is, nobody should be allowed to do this. People shouldn't be out there trying to trick Americans into supporting the other party, the party they don't support. They should win elections fair and square. And of course, this is intended to trick people. That's the very reason for these websites. You don't put smiling pictures of candidates and say things like John Lewis for Congress when you're trying to attract those people who want to oppose that candidate. It's obvious what they're doing, and it's wrong. And it is, of course, again, the same kind of reason that members of the public are so cynical about Congress. This is the kind of thing politicians are always up to, and then they'll tell you to your face that that's not really what they're doing. And yet they're trying to tell us that the sky isn't blue.
I chuckled earlier when a straight face said, yeah, the high moral standards we want to hold our congressional members to. Melanie Sloan, Executive Director from the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. We really appreciate your time. Hope to have you back.